Hi, and welcome to 40 Stories. This is Sheena Carroll with the Pittsburgh Technology Council, and today I'm speaking with Brooke Addis from Transform Labs. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So can you tell me more about Transform Labs and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a software development firm focused on custom software. We were established in Columbus, Ohio, and we are now expanding pretty much coast to coast, which is really exciting. Way back in the day when we started, which is about 30 years ago now, we were an internet service provider, and we've kind of rolled with the punches since then. We, in the late 90s, developed an e-commerce platform for Microsoft and ended up selling it to them, and that's when the principals realized, hey, there's a market for this. We need to get into software development, and that's what we've kind of grown into and we focus on now.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I see you guys work with like a broad range of industries. I saw just like the corporate and the nonprofit and like foundations and stuff. Can you tell me more about what companies you work with?
Yeah, so we do work with all sorts, from startup, entrepreneurs, enterprise. Mid-market is kind of like our focus because they, as we all know, have the money to spend on things like custom software. So that's really, I think, the bulk of it. But our founders have a really sweet spot for nonprofits and anyone who is in a startup because they've all lived that. That's what this company was 30 years ago. So we do some really nice discounted rates and things like that to support people who have really good ideas but might not have all the funding yet.
That's awesome. I have a soft spot for nonprofits too.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of talk, especially in my realm, like in communications and in tech in general, about like AI is going to steal everybody's jobs, and there are certainly like things to be concerned about. But Transform Labs, you try to keep things very people focused. Can you tell me more about that?
Absolutely. I think that is one thing that sort of gets lost now in the world of tech. I even remember being little when we all had home phones. Scary to say that out loud. Let me age myself. But everything wasn't a prompt. You used to talk to a person. And I think that's what happens a lot now. You work with, even smaller companies do it. They've implemented technology to save money on the bottom line of a person who has kind of a tedious job that a computer can replace. We don't do that. If you call the office, you're going to get to talk to Jerica. If you reach out to one of us, it's one of our principles is that we're highly responsive. And that's what we focus on. We think if we can take care of the people, the ideas and the collaboration will work out and be very successful.
Awesome, and I'm sure that helps too, because a lot of like the projects that you do are like customer focused, so you're thinking about those people first anyways.
Yeah, definitely. The end user is obviously the one who's going to spend the most time with it, so focusing on the people and seeing it from both sides, I think it's great. And I think the collaboration in technology is what's growing right now so much. Before it was like, oh, everything's proprietary, everything's like hidden, everything's a secret. And now, I can see it here, I can see it in Columbus, I can see it in Cleveland. People are trying to bridge the gap and work together so everyone can do better.
Awesome. So this series, 40 Stories, is about looking back but also looking forward. So we've been asking everyone, and I'd like to know your opinion as well. Where do you see like the future of tech or Pittsburgh in general in the next few decades?
Yeah, such a good question. I definitely think technology is changing at a rapid rate. Crazy things like Claude and all those large language models that people can use to save time. We were just talking about it earlier for doing podcasts and things. I think tech is going to go really fast, but I think it's going to be in a good way, and I think it's going to create easier implementation in all sorts of jobs for everyone. I think people are going to come in, there's going to be better structure, like infrastructure internally, and I think people are not going to have to do that like fake it till you make it anymore.
Nice.
I think the time's going to be able to be invested in, I want to set my employees and my customers up for success, and I think all these tools that are coming along that we're still trying to figure out because we haven't taught them everything they need to know yet are going to be what really makes that big shift.
That's awesome. I like that optimistic like approach too, because I think like that is definitely like I can definitely see things moving forward that way too.
Yeah. I'm not one of the people that's scared of AI taking my job, but I also don't want to be in the resistance and then not know how to use as much as I can and have someone who's like, hey, I just graduated, I have a little more knowledge, or hey, I'm passionate about this and I invested my time, and take something away from me. I wanna embrace it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if it helps, it helps.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have one more question for you.
Sure.
And that is, why did Transform Labs join the Pittsburgh Technology Council?
So we came into this market completely cold, which is a scary thing to say as a business. We didn't do a ton of groundwork, but we knew that Pittsburgh is headed in such growth with especially robotics, as we all hear about here, and technology in general, and the federal and state funding that's being put here. I think they just saw a gap that could be filled because there aren't a ton of software firms here. So we have a really solid model that's worked. And when I was getting to meet people and going to these events, when I started back in February, I just kept hearing it. It was Pittsburgh Technology Council, Pittsburgh Technology Council. Brooke, ironically, who works here, actually reached out to me and on LinkedIn, and we had a really solid meeting. And just after her intro, we were on board. We were ready. We knew that we were going to make great connections. We were going to have amazing support. And everyone I interacted with, even before we became members, was wonderful. Brendan I saw at events, and he remembered who I was, and I wasn't even, on the roster yet. So that was the biggest thing. And I've actually done nothing except speak highly and recommend you guys, because I think the value that you put in to everyone who becomes a part of it is absolutely worth any price tag that would be put on it.
No, that's wonderful to hear. I'm a big fan of our membership team too. They work so hard.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you so much for coming in today, and thank you for telling us more about Transform.
Thank you for having me.